Welcome to the second week of our series called Not So With You. In this series, we're kind of talking about when you become a follower of Christ, when you become a Christian, it's as Jesus is saying, not so with you. We no longer follow the ways of the world. We follow the ways of Jesus Christ. So not so with you. You no longer do that thing. You no longer think that way. So in this second week, we're going to be talking about the topic of love. The topic of love. So when it comes to love in our society, love in our society is undervalued, misunderstood, and highly sought after. Right? Love in our society is undervalued, it's misunderstood, but it's highly sought after. When I say that it's undervalued, is that we use this word love for anything. Anything from loving my parents, my spouse, to loving pizza, to loving a dog, to loving drawing, to whatever. I mean, you can love whatever there's so many things you can love. In our society, with using one word for so many different facets of life, we've kind of really brought an undervalue to love. And we also, love is misunderstood, right? If I can say I love this and I love that and I love this, but help me understand, right? I'm not understanding what you mean by love, right? But yet it's highly sought after. We sing about it all the time. It's a word that's frequently said all the time. Love is highly, highly, highly sought after. We seek this fairy tale love in someone else, and we seek this love that fills us. We seek, as I'll get to earlier, love is just so central to us. Which brings, regardless if you want to admit it or not, you want to be loved and you want to love others, right? This I would say, love is perhaps the most central thing that makes us human. Nothing in the animal kingdom has a deep understanding and yearning for love like humans. Now listen, animals can love, or at least mimic it, in a way that, when a cub dies or the young one dies, the parents will carry it. Or I was watching this whale documentary, and the baby orca died, and the mama orca would stay with that baby orca for several days, maybe a week, even though the baby had died. So you can tell there's this sense of mourning and sadness, and there are animals that have this sense of love. Okay, but then there's also animals that have no sense of love at all, right? You have the dad, as soon as the babies are born, the dad wants to eat the kids, right? So, or you'll have females that eat the males. So the animal kingdom is just pretty crazy. But when it comes to human beings, love, I would say, is the most central thing that makes us human, right? Our deep and yearning understanding for love is one of the central things that makes us human. And one of the things that God has given us, when Scripture says we're made in the image of God, I think in that saying is love. Because God is love, and He imparted His love on us, that yearning for love, that seeking for love, that wanting to give love, right? We all want to be loved, and we all want to love others. It is central. Whether you're a tough, burly man, right? Or a really shy person, you don't want to say it, you want to be loved. It doesn't matter if you're big and strong or short and scrawny, whatever, you want to be loved. Whether you're male or female, we all want to be loved. And I would say, arguably, the Bible gives us the best definition of what love actually is. Our love is to resemble that of Scripture than the love that we see around us, right? I think, and I would argue this, go find a better definition of love than what is offered in Scripture. Go, I challenge you. Scripture gives the best, fullest description of love. It doesn't only define it, but it gives it action, it gives it weight, right? So what we're going to look at is 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 8. And this is perhaps one of the most famous verses in Scripture. It is read 1,000,000 times, most likely at weddings, and I know you've heard this verse before. Well, let's read it again. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. But love will remain, right? Love will remain. So when we talk about this last week, what does it mean to be mature? What does it mean to have this maturity and growth? In order to have maturity, a lesson of maturity and growth, we are mature when we understand and live the true meaning of love. Love, right? So often we get love mixed up with lust. Lust is self-seeking. Lust is essentially everything opposite of this, right? Lust is not patient at all. Lust is not kind. You're just seeking something. Lust envies. Lust boasts, for sure. Lust is proudful. Lust doesn't honor others. You don't honor people when you lust after them. Lust is self-seeking. Lust is easily angered, for sure. Lust keeps records of wrongs. Lust delights in evil, because lust is evil. Lust does not seek to protect, trust, and hope, because lust is self-seeking. Lust does not persevere, and lust does fail. Too often we get lust and love confused. We lust after something, we lust after someone, and it is purely self-seeking. We get our L's mixed up here. And if you want true maturity, true growth, and in your Christian walk, and true growth and love towards people, towards your neighbors, towards your spouse, towards your kids, towards your friends, towards your classmates, if you want to have true love, this is what love looks like. And I love how love is an action. It's patient, it's kind, it doesn't envy, it doesn't boast, it's not proud, right? It's not self-seeking, it's not easily angered. This description of love is the most fulfilling, most dense, most, that's why it's read so often, right? This definition of love is proactive. It's not a static definition. It's not a dictionary definition. This is a definition that is seen in action, right? Because if you say I love someone, but do nothing to show that love, you don't love them, right? So this definition of love is the best definition I would say that we have. And when it comes to love, Jesus, when he was teaching, a teacher came to him and asked him, Jesus, there's so many commands, there's all these commands, but what is the greatest command, right? He says, teacher, which is the greatest command in the law? Listen, there were over 900 laws. There were a lot of laws in the Old Testament. A lot of laws and regulations of what you could not do and what you couldn't do. All these things, all these laws. The teacher said, Jesus, what's the greatest law? And Jesus essentially answers in one word, love. Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and the greatest commandment, and the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. Listen, there's no law against love. You don't need to regulate love. You can have true, pure love. It's all that we need. Listen, there would be no need for rules and prisons and courts, and if we truly had pure love, we would be living in heaven. But we don't have that. We live in the world we live in today, right? Love. And finally, just looking at this last application side, we need to redefine our definition of love and love others like Jesus. We need to redefine if our definition of love does not look like this, we need to redefine our definition of love. And also remember that love and lust are two completely different things. This takes us giving our lives to Jesus so that he can change us to love as he loved us. We need to have Jesus come into our hearts and change us, because we are not capable of loving like 1 Corinthians 13. We as sinful human beings are not capable of loving like 1 Corinthians 13. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. I challenge you, go out and live that verse. It'll take you that long to not love. It takes a supernatural power to transform our heart to love like 1 Corinthians 13. So we need to give our lives to Jesus for him to change us and transform us. And then finally, love is central to who we are. We are creatures of love, created by a loving God. Love is central to who we are. We are created by a loving God. We are created by a God that is love. Right? And when our love is messed up, our relationship with God is messed up, our relationship with others is messed up, when our loves are disordered, when we love our job more than our spouse, or we love our job or our school more than our friends, right? We have disordered love. We love stuff, right? We might love stuff and love our careers and love ourselves, and then all this other stuff comes down here. That's disordered. We need to be loving God and loving others. We gotta reorder our loves. Created by a loving God for a loving purpose, and it's to love others. It's absolutely central. Absolutely central. So I hope that this message has been a strength and encouragement for your faith and give you some guidance on what it means to truly love.